welcome back to my channel. Today is my August wrap up and my camera's at like 3%, so I'm gonna try to make this work, but if not, I'll just switch to my phone. But yeah, I read, let me see, 12 things in August, which is funny because when I was just sitting down to film this, I was thinking in my head like, oh, I didn't have a very good reading month though. But I feel like a lot of the things I did read I wasn't like the biggest fan of, so maybe that's where I'm coming from with that. I'm not quite sure, but let's just get into what I read. So first I read Normal People by Sally Rooney, which I gave 3 stars, and I'm so mad that I gave 3 stars because I feel like I should have loved it. You know those books where you just feel like you're supposed to love it and you should love it, but don't? That's like how I felt about Normal People. I loved the characters, I loved the beginning of the story, I thought that it was super interesting, and there were so many good lines and just like yes moments, but it definitely went downhill for me after about the first third. The middle was and then the ending I really didn't like. I listened to this on audio, and I feel like I say this a lot, but with books that I feel like I should like, I tend to want to give another chance physically. So I might pick it up, you know, ebook or pick it up if I see it around at like a thrift store or something, and give it another chance. But I did really like the writing style and whatnot. I just felt like the story didn't go anywhere. I don't know. And like I know that's kind of the point, but also not the point. I don't know. I just like, I didn't vibe with this one as much as I thought I would. And I'm like honestly super mad about it. And I finally read, Simon vs. the Homosapiens Agenda, which is Creekwood #1. I didn't even know that that was like a series like that. By Becky Albertalli. Becker. What's up, Becker? I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was super cute. I've seen the movie, so I like kind of knew where it was going, you know what I mean? But I thought that it was really cute. I really like the writing style, kind of that ranty teenage, you know, like, and what's that called, where you like write and you never stop? Train of thought type of writing style. I really liked it. So yeah, I get why it's so renowned, and why it's so important. There were a lot of really good moments in there. Then I read Tweet Cute. It was a reread. I finally got my hands on a physical copy, so I wanted to annotate, which is one of my favorite things to do and like my favorite part of the reading experience, honestly. So I did that with this one, which as you can see, I tabbed like quite a bit considering it's just like a YA, you know, rom-com sort of sitch. But this is an absolute favorite of mine. Even if it's not absolutely perfect and I can definitely see some of the flaws, it's such a comfort read for me. There's something about this that's just so homey, and I just love everybody in it, and I love the idea and the concept, and it's just so cute. So it's such a comfort read for me. I'll always go back to this. Then I finally finished. If you watch my reading vlogs, then you know I've been reading this technically, currently reading this since like fucking February. But I read A Dragonbird and the Fern by Laura Ruckert, and I gave this, I reckon, 3.5 stars. But I wrote in my review a steady 3.5 stars. I did really like this one. I thought that the world building was really, really fantastic. I loved the different magic systems and the different countries and their ways of life and how they interacted, and all of that I thought was super interesting. I wasn't necessarily like a huge fan of the writing style necessarily, but the pace was definitely a pro for me. It was a really, really fast-paced book. Something's always happening, something's always about to go down. It's super intense, and I honestly, once I got to a certain point, maybe like 40% of the way through, I literally couldn't put it down. I read the rest in like one sitting. So it's definitely fast-paced and keeps your attention, I would say, a lot. One thing that I didn't like, but it's just like a personal preference, and I know a lot of people do like this, so it's definitely going to be like 50-50, but this book, within the magical or like fantastical world, there's a lot, the book heavily focuses on the politics of that world, and I'm just not a huge fan of that. I don't really get a lot of enjoyment from reading about politics, whether from this world or a fantasy one. I couldn't really be, you know, bothered with it. Like I don't really care, and it didn't add much to the story. There were some elements that definitely did add to the story and the plot, and definitely were essential for the build-up, but a lot of it wasn't. and that's where you'll just lose me really quick. Another thing I really didn't like about this is that the main character and her like husband, I just realized I haven't told you what any of these books are about. And do people still even do that though? Like tell you what books are about? I feel like the videos I watch, they don't. Whatever. Anyways, so in this one, tell me if you'd prefer that, because I have no idea. I don't think I watch videos where they talk about what happens, but maybe I should. I have no idea. Never really thought about it, I guess. But yeah, so in this one, the main character and the guy that she ends up having to marry, there's an age gap there. And I thought maybe that it was done on purpose because there was some like reason it was gonna happen, but there's not. It's literally for no reason. In the end, it ends up being just did it to do it, and there's no point to it. And the story could have been exactly the same if she had been 18. So I really don't get the need to make her underage and make her be a child bride. Okay, like I said, my camera died and I knew that it was going to, but I will just finish this up on my phone because I don't have time to wait for it to charge. So anyways, I was saying there was really no point to her being underage and making her be a child bride like when she didn't need to be. It's super weird, and I felt like it was really unnecessary and just kind of creepy. I don't know if it was used to make the husband to like show that he's a good guy because he was really uncomfortable about it and he was lied to about her age. He was told that she was of age. So I don't know if it was used to just show that he is a genuinely good guy. I mean, we're talking like bare minimum stuff here, like not marrying a child is pretty bare minimum, but that's what I'm saying. Like I don't get the point of making her underage. It didn't add anything to the story. So that's a big reason it got marked down, because I just felt like it was so unnecessary and so creepy when it really didn't need to be. And then half the story she is 18 anyways, so I'm like, what the fuck is the difference? Like you should have just made her of age and made it not fucking weird. I don't get it. If it added something, maybe, but it literally didn't add anything. There was no reason. So, oh, I was just reading through my review too, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I forgot that when she does turn 18, there's like a sex scene, but it's a fade to black. So then I was like, okay, well, if you were trying to prove a point and getting to like this build up of like, oh, but we can't, because he doesn't have sex with her until she's 18, obviously. And so they like wait, and she wants to have sex. She's like, we're married anyways. And he's like, dude, you're underage. Like, I'm not gonna fucking mess with you. And then she finally turns 18 and he's like, oh, now I'm comfortable with this. And she's like, yeah. So they're about to have sex, and you think it's going to be this buildup of like, oh, this romance aspect. This is what we were waiting for. Like, this is why they waited for her to be 18, so that the sex would have a buildup and there'd be a really good sex scene or something like that, some smut. But it's a fade to black. So then I was like, well, now there's extra, like, no buildup, no point. Like, it's just done to be done for no reason. So I'm over it. I don't like it. But I did like the rest of the story. The only part that I didn't like genuinely was the fact that she was underage, and I wasn't a huge fan of the writing style and the politics, but the main thing that I docked it down to like a 3.5 is just there was no reason for that creepy age gap. Then I read History is Delicious. I didn't really read. I read some of and then skimmed the rest and decided it's problematic, so I give it 1 star. I do not rate things that I DNF unless they're problematic. If they're problematic, I don't finish them normally, and I give them 1 star because they deserve it. But if I don't finish something and it's not problematic and it's not for, like, it's only for personal reasons, like, oh, I wasn't feeling this book or I wasn't in the mood for it, that's not fair in my opinion to give a book 1 star just because you weren't in the mood for it, you know? But if it's problematic, 0 stars, bitch. 0 stars. So this one was hella problematic to me. I'm just gonna, like, list the reasons, because I literally made a list and I can't even recall, because I've completely tried to like get rid of this book from my brain. So I'm just gonna literally tell you what I said, and I hope that maybe might make more sense, because otherwise I'll be struggling here to try to remember. So this is pretty much a children's book about cuisine all around the world and learning all different types of cuisine and culture and stuff like that. But the first issue that I have is that the layout was terrible. It goes into an Americas section, and then right after that it's table setting around the world. And it's like, wait, the page before that literally says America, and then you open it, like that should have been before the header for the America section. So it's just a mess. That was literally one example, but I remember there being a lot. The second was that it didn't feel like a children's book. It's supposed to be a children's book. So the paragraphs are like this thick, and it's hardy material. You're talking like cultural history, stuff like that. Very important information, very interesting information, but not catered to children. Not a children's book by any means. Not at all. Maybe middle grade, but not children. So definitely just. Thirdly, I wrote misinformation. The main part. Why I DNF'd it. Why it gets 1 star. The other things I can understand. You miss target. You don't have a good editor, so your book sucks at being put together. Like, there's things that happen, some of them being out of your control. But the misinformation is in your control, and it fucking sucks. One of the worst things you can do, especially in a nonfiction. So let's see what I had to say. So just some of the things that I said were at the beginning, he said, quote, "We're connected through migration patterns and trade routes, along with historical factors such as colonization that have not always been positive." Have not always been positive? Try never positive? And like, what? Like, what a weird way to word that. There's just something about that that's so yuck to me. Like, something about that just doesn't. We're all connected through migration patterns and trade routes, not facts, along with historical factors such as colonization that have not always been positive. What a weird way to try to like twist that somehow. Anyways, I didn't like it. I know I can see maybe what he was trying to do, but like it just doesn't come off right, I just don't like the way it's worded. It could have been completely changed. And I wrote, what cutlery do they use in Asia? This guy took in all of the countries in our largest and extremely diverse continent and literally just said chopsticks because that was literally in there. For the whole of Asia, he literally said chopsticks. So this is a book about diversity, cultural diversity, cuisine diversity, food, and he took one of the most, probably the most culturally diverse continents that we have, and homie just put it down to like one thing. I was just like, what? And he even talked about like other cutlery they use in other countries. Like, oh, here they use this and this, here they use this and this, but in all of Asia it just said chopsticks. I was like, fucking god, okay. The next thing I wrote is India is one of the most diverse countries in the entire world. Facts, I would say. Religion, culture, language, I would say it's probably one of the most diverse. And I said, and that's expressed in their food so much. True. Thank you. And for the whole of India, he goes with dosa, samosa, and biryani, and that's it. And if you know Indian cuisine, that is just like. And then I wrote, I'm surprised at this point that he literally didn't put butter chicken on there. Because homie just picked the most, I would say, like, popular in America Indian dishes, I would say. Almost. It was just, I don't know. It just seemed so, like, lacking in even trying to get new information or even trying to research his own book. So, trash. Oh yeah, and then I put Africa exists. All the African food I've ever tried in my life has literally been life-changing. Big facts. So the fact that the only time Africa is discussed is a small section on Ethiopian coffee. He did a whole page on coffee and a little section on Ethiopian coffee. And then Egyptian food is in there under the Middle East section. And that is it. That is it. The only time that Africa is mentioned at all. He mentions the colonization and our trade routes, but homie doesn't even mention Africa except for some Egyptian cuisine put into the Middle East section, and then the Ethiopian coffee. literally trash. So those are all the things that I put on there, but I'm sure there's a million more. But I do not even think about reading that book. Like, I'm just telling you. Then I read Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer. And I also gave this 3 stars. See, it was a pretty like average reading month for me. Like, literally a lot of like 2 and 3 stars. So really average reads for me. Not a lot of like standout shiners, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna talk about this one too much because if you watch my vlog, which I will leave up above one of these corners, I talk about this book in depth. Like depth, but I did give it 3 stars. I did enjoy it. There were also some elements I didn't enjoy as much, so there's that. Then I read The Keeper of the Little Folk, Volume 1. This was interesting. I gave it 2 stars. I felt that the illustrations and some of the vocab used were a little above its target range. I think this is marked as middle grade. Oh, it says young adult. Okay, then that's different. Oh no, it says middle grade. It says both, so I'm not quite sure. But like there's one part where like this like fairies like yiddies are out, and I was like, how is this middle grade? Like, I don't think we should be sexualizing bodies, so I'm all for that if that's what they were trying to go for. But I don't think most people are gonna go for that. I would be fine with it as a parent, but you never know. You gotta be careful with that stuff. Might catch a charge. The actual story and the plot were so childlike, fairy-like, interesting, magical realness, all of that. So kind of like an imbalance there with like target audience and material, but then also like other material that was not the same. It was just kind of a mess and all over the place. I felt like no part of it was cohesive. So that's where my problem mainly lies. Then I read The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis, which I also talked about in that vlog, so I'm not going to go over too much. Again, the vlog is linked up above somewhere. I'll also leave a link down below if you want to give it a watch. But I gave this, shockingly, 3 stars. Felt like this was really in the middle. There were things I liked, things I didn't like. I talk about it in that video. I have just not had like a super crazy good reading month this last month. It was just pretty average. But I appreciated what this had to say about like rape culture, feminism, girl on girl hate, how men suck. All of that stuff. I really enjoyed what it had to say. I think it was really profound for its time, for sure. But I just felt a little bored by the actual plot, and I didn't really like what it had to say in the end. I just don't think it's like the best message, and I think it's just, it's not even that it's fucked up, because y'all know I love stuff that's fucked up. Like, if it's messed up, I'm normally like, I don't fucking know, but I like it. But this one, it just didn't make sense to me. It just didn't flow. It didn't make a good point to me. I don't know. Yeah, I just didn't really like the plot a lot. Like, honestly, it's not even that memorable for me, so I don't know. I'd give this one another view. This is a view. I'd give this one another read, like maybe physically this time. This is another one that I read on audio. So this is one that maybe I would give another chance as well. But, yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't vibing it as much. Then, also in that vlog, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot, I read Out Now, which is an anthology of queer stories, and I gave this 1 star. I hated it. I'm not even going to talk about it. You can watch me, like, almost crying having to read it, like, forcing myself to read it in that vlog. Then I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, and this I gave 5 stars. My saving grace of this fucking month. My saving grace. This was so cute. This was so good. I'm so excited for Beach Read now because that's on. I have a hold on the library for that one, and I'm super stoked about it. So yeah, I don't even like have words. Just read it. Like, if you like rom-coms, you like romance, just read it. I love the writing style. Again, it's that banter that I love. This is second chance romance, friends to lovers, kind of at a point like enemies to lovers too, to be honest. Did I ever say second chance romance? All of that, whatever. It's a lot, and it's the vacation vibes just made me feel so adventurous and just want to get out there more. Like, such main character energy from this main character. Like, how weird. But I really liked it. I really, really liked it. Seriously, it was my saving grace. Like, I was feeling so down, so slumpy, and then I read this and I was like, reading is fun. I have just been fucked up from all my other reads this month. Then I read from NetGalley. This comes out October 26th, 2021, so it is not out yet. But I read Lifetime Passes by Terry Blaz and Claudia Aguirre. And I gave this 3 stars, shockingly. This is about a girl who It's a graphic novel about a girl who finds out that her theme park will give lifetime passes if a member of your party dies. And so her and her friends end up taking residents from a senior living home to the theme park to try to get them to die so they can get lifetime passes, which sounds sick, right? Like, it sounds like darkly comedic, gross, like kind of fucked up, but like interesting. like it's, you know, spooky vibes. And that's why I picked it up from NetGalley. It's why I requested it from NetGalley, is I thought it was gonna be like spooky vibes, kind of fucked up, you know. It wasn't. It was heartfelt. It was homey and cute and lovey, and everything's good in the end. And I was like, not what I was expecting. I gave it 3 stars still, and I did really like it, but I was just a little frustrated because I think the synopsis literally says like darkly comedic. It's not at all. It's genuinely a heartfelt, cute story. There's kind of this fucked up moment where they're like, let's try to get them to die, and then it passes in like 2 pages. So that's it. So I was a little disappointed, a little misled, I would say, but I did enjoy it. Nevertheless, I did enjoy it. Then I read Summer Days and Summer Nights, which is a summer-themed anthology edited by Stephanie Perkins. This is the kind of sequel to the holiday one they did, which is My True Love Gave to Me, which I actually own. It's one of my favorite anthologies, but I give this one 3 stars. Oh my god. I didn't realize how many 3 stars. I didn't look at these. Like, I didn't look at my ratings and stuff as a collective until I just sat down to film. That's why I keep looking at my laptop here, because this month has been so crazy that I forgot a lot of the stuff that I read, honestly. Normally, I have a pretty good memory, and I'm like, oh yeah, I read that. I gave that 3 stars or 2, 4, whatever stars and all that. I couldn't tell you a thing this month. Maybe it's because they were so lackluster. Like, I didn't really fully enjoy any of them, so they're not memorable. But yeah, this one was a 3 star. I think my actual overall average rating is 3.06, so it's almost exactly 3 stars even. But yeah, the second half definitely saved this for me. The first half of the stories had me about to DNF it. I was like, I don't like DNFing anthologies because you never know when that really good one is about to come, but this one was not what I was expecting, because compared to the holiday one, it was so boring. But the latter half, the like last 6 stories or so, I loved. I really, really loved. And I loved the idea of the mix of genre, because it's kind of the same in My True Love Gave to Me. There's some books in there, or some stories in there that are contemporary fantasy, supernatural. I think there's even like a horror one, with like Krampus or something. So a good variety, and they did that same thing kind of here. So really good variety, and like there were some summer stories that were horror and like thriller and supernatural, and I really liked that. But yeah, the stories in the first half were not for me, and then in the latter half, my ratings got better. My favorites and least favorites, if you're curious, my favorites are Last Stand at the Synagogue, Inertia, A Thousand Ways This Could All Go Wrong, and my least favorites were Sick Pleasure, Souvenirs, and The Map of Tiny Perfect Things. So if you've read it or know it or have it, those are my faves and my least faves. So that is everything that I read in August. I hope that you guys had a way better reading month than me. Let me know what you read this month, maybe your favorite thing you read this month, in the comments below. And I have a lot of fun things planned for September. I'm hoping that I get around to being able to do them all. But yeah, I'm very excited for spooky season. I hope that you guys have a good day or night, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.